Is it safe to travel to Vietnam? That question has been gaining traction again recently, and it's not hard to understand why. With lush mountains in the north, sun-drenched beaches in the south, and a vibrant, complex culture throughout, Vietnam is one of Southeast Asia's most compelling destinations. But it wasn't always seen that way. Once viewed through the lens of war, division, and political suspicion, Vietnam has undergone a dramatic transformation. The journey from conflict to tourist magnet has been nothing short of remarkable. And like all such transformations, it comes with both promise and challenges. I'm Stephen, and for over 25 years I've been working in the world of industrial safety and risk management across the Americas, the Caribbean, and beyond. Today, I'm turning my focus to travel safety, because whether you're headed to Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi, your safety and peace of mind should always be your most valuable travel companion. Now let's talk about Vietnam, not just as a destination, but as a place that's constantly balancing the weight of its past with the speed of its future. Vietnam has spent the last few decades opening its doors to the world. With tourism now a major pillar of its economy, there's an eagerness to welcome travelers. But like any fast-growing travel hub, it's not without its share of risks and realities. Vietnam is often painted in the Western imagination as either a historical battleground or a backpacker's paradise. The truth, of course, is more complicated and more interesting. For most travelers, Vietnam is safe, but that safety is layered. You'll find friendly people, strong infrastructure in major cities, and a growing tourism industry that knows the value of hospitality. But you'll also find moments where cultural misunderstandings, uneven development, and the undercurrents of political control can lead to surprises, especially if you're unprepared. One of the first things to understand is how travel advisories assess Vietnam today. The U.S. State Department currently places Vietnam at a fairly low risk, typically at level 1 or 2, which is considered exercise normal precautions, or exercise increased caution. Global Affairs Canada, the UK's FCDO, and Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs all echo similar guidance. Vietnam is generally safe, but like anywhere, there are exceptions. Urban areas like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City have become global cities in their own right. You'll see skyscrapers, fusion cuisine, boutique hotels, and digital nomads sipping espresso in air-conditioned cafes. But venture a few blocks off the beaten path, and you'll also see economic disparities, older infrastructure, and neighborhoods that may not be ideal for solo exploration late at night. Petty crime, pickpocketing, snatch-and-grab theft, and tourist scams remains one of the most common safety concerns. These are not unique to Vietnam, but they do happen often in busier tourist zones, particularly in markets, transportation hubs, and nightlife districts. Be especially aware in crowded areas like Ben Thanh Market in Ho Chi Minh or around Hoan Kiem Lake in Hanoi. There have been reported cases of bag snatching from passing motorbikes, so wearing a crossbody bag and keeping it on the side away from the road is a smart move. Political expression in Vietnam is another area that might surprise some visitors. Vietnam is a one-party state, and that's not just a technicality. It plays an active role in how things operate. The country's internet is monitored, public protests are rare and often suppressed, and any speech critical of the government can lead to serious trouble for locals, and in rare cases, foreign visitors. For travelers, this means staying apolitical is not just good etiquette, it's an important safety practice. When it comes to race, gender, and religion, Vietnam is not generally known for widespread discrimination or hostility toward visitors. In fact, many travelers report feeling warmly welcomed regardless of background. However, Vietnam's societal norms are still evolving. LGBTQ+ travelers will find growing pockets of acceptance, especially in larger cities, but same-sex public displays of affection may still attract stares or discomfort in more conservative regions. For solo female travelers, Vietnam is generally safer than many places in the region, though the usual rules of caution apply, especially at night and when using taxis or ride-hailing services. Water and food safety in Vietnam deserve particular attention. Tap water should never be consumed directly, and even brushing your teeth with bottled water is a good practice in some areas. Ice is often safe in urban restaurants and hotels that cater to tourists, but it's best to ask. Street food in Vietnam is famous for a reason. It's delicious, affordable, vast, and deeply cultural. But it's not without its risks. Make sure food is cooked in front of you, served hot, and coming from a busy stall with a good reputation. Gastrointestinal issues are a common experience for travelers in Southeast Asia, and Vietnam is no exception. Pack appropriate medications and take your time adjusting to the local diet. Healthcare in Vietnam is improving, but it's still a mixed bag. Major cities have international standard hospitals and clinics, but rural areas may lack adequate facilities. Travel insurance that covers medical evacuation is highly recommended. The last thing you want is to be dealing with an emergency in a remote province where care is substandard or communication is a barrier. English is spoken in most tourist areas, but don't count on it in every hospital or pharmacy. Transportation in Vietnam is both a thrill and a hazard. The roads are famously chaotic. Motorbikes dominate the streets in numbers that boggle the mind, and traffic laws are, let's say, open to interpretation. Crossing the road in Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City is not for the faint of heart. It's an art form. Taxis are common and relatively inexpensive, but always opt for reputable services or ride-hailing apps like Grab, which function much like Uber. Avoid unmarked taxis, particularly late at night. Vietnam is vast, and that's part of its charm, but its regional variations can pose a safety learning curve. Central Vietnam, with destinations like Hue and Da Nang, tends to be more relaxed, while northern regions like Sapa and Ha Giang are more rural and mountainous. Those areas come with their own considerations, like limited infrastructure, rough roads, and reduced access to healthcare. Southern Vietnam, particularly the Mekong Delta, is more humid and remote in some parts, so insect-borne diseases like dengue fever are worth preparing for, especially during the rainy season. As for Vietnam's past, it's impossible to ignore its impact. The Vietnam War, or as it's known locally, the American War, left physical and emotional scars. Some unexploded ordnance remains in remote areas, especially in central Vietnam and near the Laos border, although the risk is minimal for tourists sticking to marked paths and established attractions. That being said, Vietnam's people are among its greatest assets. Friendly, hardworking, proud of their heritage, yet curious about the outside world. Tourism is a point of national pride now, and that translates into better service, more English-speaking staff, and a growing interest in sustainable tourism practices. And here's where things start to get really exciting. Vietnam is also one of the best value destinations in the world. Your money goes far here, from accommodations to meals to tours. And with the country's recent infrastructure improvements, including expanded airports, high-speed internet, and better roads, it's more accessible than ever. But we should also address the elephant in the room: immigration and entry procedures. Vietnam has made strides in recent years with its e-visa system, now available to citizens of many countries. Still, it's important to ensure your passport meets all the entry criteria. Overstaying your visa, even by a day, can result in fines or delays. Make sure your travel documents are printed, backed up, and fully compliant with your itinerary. Now, before we wrap up, let me share a surprise that many travelers don't expect. Vietnam is an emerging hub for wellness and luxury travel. Yes, you heard that right. From five-star beach resorts in Da Nang to wellness retreats in the countryside, Vietnam is shedding its backpacker-only image and embracing a broader, more upscale audience. It's something to keep an eye on as the country continues to evolve and expand its appeal. So, is it safe to travel to Vietnam? For the vast majority of travelers, the answer is yes. If you are well-informed, respectful of local norms, and understand the context of the place you're visiting. Vietnam is not a blank canvas. It's a living, breathing society that continues to find its balance between tradition, modernity, and global integration. Safety here is not guaranteed, but it is achievable. Whether you're sipping egg coffee in Hanoi's Old Quarter or cruising the limestone karsts of Ha Long Bay, there's a magic to Vietnam that's hard to replicate. But remember, the difference between a great trip and a stressful one often comes down to what you knew before you boarded the plane. If you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button for more safety-focused travel insights. I've got new port safety briefings, destination overviews, and safety tips dropping every week. And if you're planning a trip to Vietnam or anywhere in Southeast Asia, feel free to reach out. We're always happy to help you plan safely and smartly. And as promised, Here's the surprise. Vietnam has launched a new multi-entry visa policy for select countries, making it easier than ever for travelers to base themselves here while exploring the rest of Southeast Asia. It's a game changer for digital nomads, long-stay visitors, and adventurous travelers alike. So maybe Vietnam isn't just a destination, it might be your new travel base camp. See the world, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.